Well, good morning, friends. As you can tell, I'm not out in the mountains. I'm in my backyard today. I wanted to do something a little different. I was actually supposed to be attempting Mount Washington today, but the temperatures and the winds up there, it just didn't seem like a wise choice. So instead, I decided I was going to do a video that I've been looking at and kind of planning for a while, and this seemed like a good day to do it. Today, we're going to be looking at artificial intelligence and how to use it intelligently and responsibly for planning your hikes. A week ago or so, I saw a video about what role AI can play in hiking. I don't want to say this is a response, but I decided I would look at it in terms of what that should actually look like, and to actually attempt to plan a hike using multiple AI systems and then review the outputs with my knowledge and experience in the backwoods. So let's see what AI had to tell me. First, I want to say that I use AI tools frequently as part of my work and for planning my videos. I've even used AI tools for generating some content, usually still images, like the thumbnail for this video. I'm not adverse to using AI. But I recognize that AI does not really know anything. It's just a powerful search engine that does an amazing job with language. So I gave the following prompt to 3 different AI systems. I'm curious what routes you would recommend with regard to doing a hike over Mount Jefferson, Mount Washington, Mount Monroe, and Mount Eisenhower in the next few weeks. If I was going to have 2 cars and wanted to get all 4, where would you park and what trails would you recommend? I'll break down their responses and identify which AI was which at the end. I should point out that this experiment was done in early December with an intent of doing the hike in late fall. Keep in mind that weather conditions in the White Mountains in late fall are basically winter conditions. The first AI messed up right off the bat by forgetting to include the main mountain on the hike, Mount Washington. It also had us parking on a road that is closed for winter and taking a route up Jefferson that is at least questionable this time of year, the Capps Ridge Trail. I should point out that it did mention that the Jefferson Notch Road may be closed and that we should check. But it had us climb up and down the Capps Ridge Trail, then drive to another trailhead and hike back up the ridge. That's a huge effort to go up and down the ridge twice. Once I corrected it to include Washington, however, it started recommending this as a 2-day trip, camping or staying at the hut. Only the hut, Lake of Clouds, is closed this time of year. When I pointed that out, it started getting really wild, starting me from the Appalachia trailhead and going up Valley Way and ending at Crawford Notch, which is a 19-mile slog. The second AI seemed to be actively trying to kill me. It recommended a car drop at the AMC Pinkham Notch Visitor Center, and then starting from the COG parking lot and going up Ammonoosuc to Monroe, then going over Washington and Jefferson, then turning around and going south to Eisenhower, which, for those who don't know, means going right past both Washington and Monroe. Then it recommended the Webster Cliff Trail down to the AMC Highlands Center. The Webster Cliff Trail can be extremely dangerous in winter and ends several miles from the AMC Highlands Center. But remember, it told me to park at the Pinkham Notch Visitor Center, so I have no car at the AMC Highlands Center. Or it gave me an alternative descent down the Tuckerman Ravine Trail. This is one of the steeper trails to descend down Washington and is used as an extreme backcountry ski trail this time of year. It also claimed to be one of the most popular and thus well broken out winter approaches. While that may be true of Lion's Head, it's not true of Tuckerman's. But hey, at least I'll have a car available if I survive the descent. The final AI that I used was the only one that really emphasized the risks and conditions, as well as gave me a list of essential winter gear. I should note, however, that I've used the first two AIs for hike video planning in the past, so they knew that I'm an experienced hiker. The third was one that I had not used, so it was likely a better test. However, it also recommended an overnight stay at the Lake of the Clouds hut, which, as I mentioned, is closed for the season, or camp nearby. Worst of all, it recommended a descent from Jefferson Loop Trail to the Jefferson Notch Trail. I checked the maps, I checked the guidebook. There is no Jefferson Notch Trail. It was invented completely by the AI. When I questioned it on that, it claimed to have gotten confused with Jefferson Notch Road, but that road comes nowhere near the Jefferson Loop Trail, as one is at the bottom of the mountain while the other is at the top. It then recommended the Valley Way Trail. So if I had blindly followed that advice, I would ended up wandering around looking for a trail that does not exist. Additionally, it also suggested that my second car be parked at the Appalachia Trailhead, adding many miles of either road or ridge walk, instead of parking at the cog and shortening the route. Blindly followed one of these AI plans without checking a map. How do you think that day ends? Comment below before I tell you. So my concern, and the reason I wanted to make this video, is that someone who's not experienced with hiking might decide to use an AI to plan a hike. And if they just follow the advice provided, they could experience life-threatening issues up there, especially in the fall. I say that because there might not be much snow or ice down in the valleys, but up on the mountain, you're likely to find a lot of snow and ice, and an unprepared hiker could find themselves in over their head quickly, especially if attempting difficult trails without proper gear. Additionally, while usually navigation in the White Mountains is pretty easy, it is often the case on exposed ridge lines that trails may be difficult to find. High winds and blowing snow may create whiteout conditions. Wind chills may drop significantly lower than the actual temperatures, resulting in frostbite risk for exposed skin. The need to request rescue may expose others to risk as well. Less catastrophically, camping in areas where camping is not allowed may result in damage to the ecosystem and fines. ChatGPT told me it was okay, probably is not going to be a viable defense. Additionally, AI systems do not have access to up-to-date info. In generally, AI systems' knowledge generally is up to date at the date that their training ends, so individuals need to know the risks and double-check any recommendations provided by an AI with real-time conditions. So which system was which? Before I go any further, I want to identify which AIs I used. The first AI, the one that forgot the main summit in my plan, was everyone's favorite AI, ChatGPT. It had me park in a location that can't be parked at this time of year, climb up and down Jefferson, drive to a new trailhead, and then get the remaining summits. It also directed us to a very exposed trail, the Caps Ridge Trail. I should also point out that I used this system to assist me in writing the script for this video. The second AI was Google's Gemini. This was the one that actually appeared to be actively trying to kill me by directing me back and forth across the ridgeline and then trying to send me down a sheer cliff to an area where my car wasn't even parked. The final AI I used was actually recommended by ChatGPT. It's called Hugging Chat, and this was the one that directed me to a trail that does not actually exist. All three AI systems eventually produced a viable route after multiple back-and-forth prompts where I pointed out the flaws in the previous routes. But that is only because I know this ridgeline well enough to recognize the flaws in their planning. So how can you use AI to plan a hike safely? Here are a few controls that you can use. Number 1, ask it for multiple route ideas. Don't assume that the one route provided is actually viable. Use follow-up prompts to get a good route. Number 2, cross-verify everything on a real map. Reality determines viability, so compare the prompt to reality. Number 3, check trail conditions and weather separately. The AI won't have real-time data, so you need to check what reality is going to be. Number 4, identify bailouts manually. You need to ensure that your emergency plans are viable. Number 5, never rely on AI over experience or caution. If you don't have experience, either build experience with smaller, less threatening hikes, or seek the wisdom of someone who does have that experience. Number 6, finally, if advice sounds sketchy, it probably is. Stop and verify. So remember, friends, AI is a tool, not a hiking partner. It can't feel the wind on the ridgeline. It can't feel the cold. So you have to utilize it with caution and with experience. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. And remember, as always, chase your dreams, challenge your limits, and choose joy. Azimuth out.